So I would say yes, test the system, but don't trust the system. The system has demonstrated that it can't be trusted. However, people inside the system, the right people inside, can be tested and they can be trusted. And so, while I don't know the specific situation in Seattle, but I have gotten a glimpse of it tonight, one of the things that I can tell you is that you are not alone. That I have met attorneys who have tested the system and they have been rebuked because of their activism on behalf of the people. I have met people in elected office, I'm an example myself, who have tested the system and they have been rebuked. At the same time, that doesn't mean that we give up. It doesn't mean that we stop. It just means that we have to regroup, organize, strategize, and figure out a way to make that system accountable to us. And that's what you are doing here tonight. So thank you to all of you who made contributions, who made testimonies tonight. And thank you to the NAACP and to the panel for receiving that testimony. One of the things that I've suggested to Mr. Bible is that this information be turned over to the United Nations. We have the United Nations rapporteur who just left, Doudou Dieng of Senegal, just left the United States. And in an unprecedented fact-finding mission, there are activists who basically are all over this country, but they invited this kind of a visit from the United Nations for the purpose of establishing that the United States is a human rights abuser, or establishing something that all of us here already know because we live in the belly of the beast. So now what is it that we can do? I can only tell you what I have done. And I've decided to do something that I've never done before in order to have a little bit of something that we've never had before. And for me, that is testing the system one more time in a different way. So I've left the Democratic Party, and my father, in his first foray into politics, was a Republican because in Georgia in the South, the Democrats wouldn't let us participate. You could only be a Republican if you wanted to vote. Amen. But we have to make sure at all times that the people that we put in office truly represent the people, that they truly represent us. And unfortunately, what we have experienced time and time and time again is that we will invest our hope, our faith, our dreams, our aspirations, and our trust in people who betray that trust. And so then what do? We shouldn't sulk and sit back and say, oh, the system is always going to run over us. We have to get stronger, we have to regroup, we have to organize, and we have to figure out how we can take over the system. With respect to the legal landscape has changed now. We've got the Patriot Act, the Secret Evidence Act, the Military Commissions Act. And the Democratic Party hasn't done one thing in their congressional majority to repeal any of these attacks on the Constitution and on the Bill of Rights. We've got the war on terror, the war on drugs. And the Democratic majority in Congress, it has the ability to stop the funding for the war, to stop the militarization of our foreign policy, to stop the militarization of our domestic policy. Has done nothing. They've done nothing. So now I believe we also have a unique window of opportunity that is opening to us. And that unique window of opportunity is that people are seeing the contradictions. And when people see the contradictions, then the trust is diminished. And that also opens up the opportunity for us to get involved. I would like for us to have a hostile takeover of our own government. Now, I've seen this happen in other cities. I've seen it happen in the city of New Paltz, New York, where university students decided after September 11th that they didn't like the administration of the school board. They didn't like the administration of City Hall, and so they decided that they would run for office. They ran for office and they won. And they took over school board, City Hall, members of council. So it can happen. And government isn't just them or always them. It is us. Now, when I was in the Congress and people were trying to flee the floodwaters of New Orleans, and there was a sheriff, Harry Lee, in the adjoining town who fired shots to prevent those from fleeing into his area of jurisdiction. Now, I filed a little bill in the Congress that everyone derided and denigrated. But basically I said that we should take away their access to federal funds if they're found to have violated civil and human rights. Legislation is just a piece of paper. There's no mystery about legislation or even politics for that matter. Politics is the authoritative allocation of values in a society, and it's about time that we had some of our values allocated. So I've had it with, I should probably not say this, but there was a document that I found, Nations Rapporteur